Hi guys, this is O-Level Chemistry, paper 11, November 2015, question 1. Which process is used in the preparation of soluble salts? Electrolysis. No, electrolysis is not used in preparation of any kind of salt. It is used as a separation technique. Uh, evaporation. Evaporation is used in preparing soluble salts because when soluble salts are made, they are aqueous in nature, so they are dissolved in water. So you evaporate the water in order to get crystals of the soluble salt. Melting melting just changes the state from solid to liquid. It does not prepare a soluble salt. And precipitation is a procedure for preparing insoluble salts, not soluble salts. Soluble salts are prepared by evaporation and crystallization. So the correct option for this question is option B. Question 2. Which positive ions are present in an aqueous copper 2 sulfate solution? Okay. So we've got positive ions and we've got negative ions present in solution. Now, since this is a solution of copper sulfate, we've got Cu2 positive ions and SO4 2 negative ions. While these are dissolved in water, therefore, we would have H positive ions from water and also OH negative ions from water. So they're asking for the positive ions present. So copper ion is a positive ion, but H positive ions are also there. So this is not the option. Next, copper ions and hydrogen ions. Yes, both of these positive ions are present in an aqueous solution of copper sulfate. Sulfate ions only. Sulfate ions are negatively charged. And sulfate and hydroxide ions, they are all the types of negatively charged ions present in the same solution. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option B. Question 3. In a titration between an acid in the burette and an alkali, you may need to reuse the same titration flask, or it is also called a conical flask. Which is the best procedure for rinsing the flask? Rinse with distilled water and then with the alkali. Okay, rinsing with distilled water is correct, but rinsing with the alkali is incorrect because in a titration experiment, neutralization takes place, which is reaction of acid with base. So when you have alkali present in the flask before the experiment, so that adds additional moles of alkali to the experiment, which will result in an incorrect final result for the titration. So neither alkali nor acid should be present before the titration procedure begins. Rinsing with tap water and then with distilled water, yes, we can clean the contents of the flask or wash them away with tap water, and then to remove any dissolved ions that were present in tap water, we can use distilled water. So this procedure seems correct. Rinse with tap water and then with acid. No, we cannot rinse with alkali or acid. And rinse with alkali? No, not at all. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option B. Question 4. Two containers, one of methane and one of butane, are placed at the same distance from a naked flame. Both gases are released at the same time. The methane gas reaches the flame and catches fire before the butane gas reaches the flame. Which statement explains this? Each methane molecule has a higher proportion of hydrogen than each butane molecule. No, methane is CH4, butane is C4H10. There are 10 hydrogen atoms in butane and only 4 hydrogen atoms in methane. So this is incorrect. Methane does not have isomers, butane does have isomers. This is a fact, but that has nothing to do with methane catching fire before butane does. Methane has a higher boiling point than butane. Wrong. Butane has a higher boiling point than methane, but this does not explain methane catching fire before butane. And methane molecules have a smaller mass than butane molecules. Yes, since the MR of methane is lesser than that of butane, methane will move faster than butane and therefore will reach the naked flame before butane and catch fire first. So this is the statement that explains why methane catches fire before butane, making option D the correct option for this question. Question 5. Metal X oxidizes in air. The formula of the oxide is XO, which means X has a 2 positive charge. X displaces zinc from aqueous zinc nitrate. So it is more reactive than zinc. So in the reactivity series, we have got sodium, potassium. We start with potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, zinc. So if it is more reactive than zinc, it has to be one of these. And since it has a 2 positive charge in the ionic state, it has to be one of these two. So out of the given option, which could be X? Aluminum is eliminated because it has a 3 positive charge. Lead is less reactive than zinc, so that has been eliminated. Magnesium is present along with calcium as a viable option. And we have sodium. Sodium has a +1 charge, eliminating it, resulting in magnesium being the metal that oxidizes in air. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option C. Question 6. Which is a compound? Air. Air is a mixture of different gases, not a compound. Carbon is an element. It is a pure element, not a compound. Oxygen is another pure element, not a compound. Steam is a compound of hydrogen and oxygen because steam is basically water in the gaseous state. So, steam being a compound makes option D the correct option for this question. Question 7. How is a calcium ion Ca2 positive formed from calcium atom? By gaining 2 electrons, that would lead to calcium metal reducing to form Ca2 negative ion, which is not possible. By gaining 2 protons, loss and gain of protons do not occur. By losing 2 electrons, yes, when calcium loses 2 electrons, it forms Ca2 positive ions, and 2 electrons that are released are taken up by the anion that forms. So this is the correct method. And by losing 2 protons, like before, protons are not exchanged during formation of cation. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option C. Question 8. An oxygen atom contains 8 electrons, 8 protons, and 10 neutrons. What is the nucleon number of this atom? So, the nucleon number is basically number of protons and number of neutrons added together. So, this results in number of protons being 8 and number of neutrons being 10, giving us a nucleon number of 18. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option D. Question 9. A molecule of sulfuric acid has the structural formula shown. How many electrons are involved in forming all the covalent bonds in one molecule? So, if we have single bonds present, that is formed by sharing of 2 electrons. And if we have a double bond present, it is formed by sharing of 4 electrons. So, let's count 2 for this single bond, 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 4 for this double bond, and 4 for this double bond. So in total, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 16. So a total of 16 electrons are involved in forming all the covalent bonds in one molecule of sulfuric acid, making option D the correct option for this question. Question 10. A metal consists of a lattice of positive ions in a sea of electrons. What happens to the electrons and positive ions in a metal wire when an electrical current is passed through it? So, electrons will move, so they will be replaced by newer electrons. So, this eliminates options C and D, which says electrons remain unchanged. So between options A and B, the next column asks for the positive ions. Option A says replace by new ions, which means the positive ions would move, and B says they remain unchanged. Therefore, A is eliminated because the positive ions stay in their place, they do not move. That means they remain unchanged, making option B the correct option for this question.